So this week we got really excited about the breakthrough with the Epstein files, the House and the Senate voting to move them to the president's desk and President Trump signing them to be released within 30 days. And a lot of punditry was saying this could be the end. And, well, they were thinking this was a breakthrough in breaking apart Trump's coalition and him becoming more of a lame duck presidency. And then what happens later in the week is that the president reminds us of his ability to push fear and instability in the nation by threatening other lawmakers for a video they made about military officials basically not following legal orders. And then he engaged what some may call stochastic terrorism to basically say these people are traitors to the United States and therefore they deserve to have violent acts acted upon them. And Alyssa Slotkin is already saying that she is on 24/7 surveillance. And I'm sure a lot of lawmakers have just been getting death threats throughout this entire epoch. So again, we're just reminded that we're still only a year in, and that yes, we had another scandal spectacle this week where victims and survivors were re-traumatized and people were reminded of how much power gets away with in this world. But that doesn't mean that we have stopped the pattern that we have been seeing for almost a decade now. And I think because we live in that scandal industrial complex that a lot of mainstream pundits are operating within, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I really think that this is a time where we have to stop listening to traditional storytellers. When I was going through the first Trump term, I was in grad school and I really listened to a lot of the center right and center left, some might call corporate commentators, not just the mainstream media, but going into like the Bulwark and Pod Save section. And a lot of those people are really smart, really gifted, and do deserve to be analyzed, but I don't think in the way where they know what is going to happen next or are in touch with what's going to happen next. I think that they're a part of a Washington ecosystem that Trumpism is part of the reaction to. And it's hard for people to square that up when they're trying to, at one time, explain how the former political consensus or former governing consensus didn't lead to Trumpism, while at the same time also not willing to reckon with how that former governing consensus actually did lead to Trumpism. And whether you like Trumpism or not, it does reveal a lot of things about America and about the failures of the neoliberal and neoconservative political culture that people now feel very alienated from. And so whenever I see framing that is still coming out of that group of what, people say the Beltway cocktail party or the quote unquote, the brunch circuit, I think that it is a mistake because Trump has surpassed all those framings. Calling him a lame duck at this point after January 6th, after he campaigned in front of a courthouse, after he defied all of the basic measures of civility and political death that a lot of these people grabbed onto because in their formative years that was what was normal in the Bush, Obama, Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton years. Is just no longer matters, and we just have to reckon with that. So that's why I really support independent media, and I support a lot of the newer voices out there. And I really think that looking at the kind of centrist camp and center right, center left, not just New York Times or Washington Post or MS Now or I guess Fox News for some, but even they're a little bit far right. But and then they're the kind of tangential media outlets from them, like the Bulwark and the Pod Saves, respect them. But I just think that they're still very caught up in an era where they're trying to reconcile, and that makes it hard to really be able to grasp with what the country needs moving forward. And that might just signify that we just didn't live in a time before that was conducive or constructive to most of the country, maybe to a small amount of people living in that Acela corridor world, but not the larger country as a whole. And Trump tapped into that. That's just something I've been thinking about. And if you have any thoughts on that, you can comment. I've been writing about it a lot on my blogs, do on this. So please subscribe, comment, become a paid subscriber for paid content. And I hope to see you soon. Thanks.